Hello, my friend. I'm Chef Lance, and welcome to my kitchen.
Super juicy. Never again will you have to suffer with dry meatloaf. Let's begin by preheating the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 200 degrees Celsius. All right, guys, let's get started on making our teriyaki sauce. This is a honey teriyaki sauce. You know, a lot of times pineapple juice is used, but this time it's a honey that we're going to add to it. So we just put in some soy sauce, some rice wine vinegar. There's a little bit of the sesame oil that's going in there. Now, this is the sesame oil that I've got. I really like this particular brand, but it's a nice oil. Now I'm adding some brown sugar. Add a little sesame seeds. Now we're going to add some garlic paste. I love using these tube things of garlic and other things. It just makes life a little handier at home, a little quicker, more convenient. So we're going to add some of that to the teriyaki sauce. I think I kind of have it in my head. If I squeeze just so, it'll give me about a clove of garlic. There's the tube of ginger paste that I like to use. And again, if you want to get fresh ginger and peel it and grate it, you do that. I just enjoy using this. It's very convenient, very fast when you're trying to throw a meal together. Next, you want to add your honey. Now, this is a nice organic honey. I'm sorry I don't have a photo of the brand that I was using, but it's a nice, kind of a dark amber. You're going to bring that to a simmer, give it a quick whisk just to make sure all the ingredients are thoroughly combined. Now we're going to split this in half. So I'm going to fill a measuring cup up with what I have in the pot. Notice the little, the spinner-rooski on that pan. That's a little technique I kind of figured out. If you ever have that drip, drip, drip off the side, if you pour that, if you have a small enough pan, you can flip it that way and save yourself the trouble. Now I've poured half of it back in the pan. This is the ground chicken we're going to use. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to marinate that chicken with part of that teriyaki sauce so that that flavor is just infused in it. So I put half in the pan, half back in the measuring cup, and I'm going to take half of what's in the measuring cup and put that into the chicken. I'm going to use my hands and thoroughly mix that together. And just so it's every little bit of chicken is thoroughly coated in it, and it just helps the flavor marry with the chicken. It's really a nice little technique. If you don't have time to do this, no worries. That's fine too. I'm going to put that in the fridge. You can leave it in 1 hour up to about 4 or 5 hours. So while that's marinating in the fridge, let's prep our veggies. We're going to start with, we're going to end up dicing this carrot. So I peel it, make some planks. Then I'm going to take the planks and turn those into strips, a little bigger than a julienne, and then I'm going to take those and I'm going to dice those. Next, we're going to work on our celery. Just going to dice the celery up. Very straightforward there. Now the green onions. I'm going to take the roots off the green onions. I'm going to slice the whites. We're going to use the whites and the greens in this dish, but in separate ways. So I'm going to separate those, dicing the green parts now. Now the way to get to the red bell pepper. This thing has got a funky shape. I like to do this technique where I kind of peel off the outside, and on a green bell pepper that's shaped somewhat better than that, it's a little bit easier, but we got it to work. Again, I'm going to take those, cut those into strips, and then I failed to show you the dice, but knife drop, they're done. And this is our mise en place for the rice. So let's start now by just mixing it right in our long loaf pan. So what we're doing now is we're going to add the rice to the loaf pan, and next comes our frozen veggies. Now these are some of my favorite veggies to use when I need frozen. I just keep a sack of these in the freezer pretty much all the time for whatever I need them for. Now we're going to just mix that together. I want to make sure it's thoroughly mixed. I like to do this part first before I start adding other things. Those are the whites to the green onions. There's some of the sesame oil going in there for added flavor. I'm going to mix that together again. Isn't that the coolest spoon rest? I'm so happy I got that. It's really nice. Now that's the remainder of the honey teriyaki sauce going into the rice. We're going to give that a good stir and get that combined as well. Now I'm going to add in my chicken stock. As you know, if you've watched me any length of time, I make my own chicken stock. You can see how gelatinous this is. That is the holy grail of stock making. This is a roasted chicken stock. I had that on hand. I really probably should have used a white chicken stock, but I didn't have any. But if you don't have your own homemade, this is a decent brand. Now I'm pointing to it being unsalted. That is critical. When we make our own stocks, we don't add salt. So get one, if you can, that doesn't have salt in it. Now I've got that mixed up, and I'm just ready to put the aluminum foil over the top. This will help steam it while it's in the oven. So we're going to get that thoroughly wrapped up. I'm going to pull up on the edges, make sure they're tucked under. I don't want any steam escaping from the edges here. I just want it all captured because rice is not cooked by boiling water or liquid. Rice is cooked by the steam. And so we want to keep all of that trapped in there to help steam this rice. Going to beat up a couple of eggs. I've got my marinated chicken there. I just pulled from the fridge. And the rest of my mise en place. I'm not showing my panko, but they're off to the side. Going to beat that thoroughly, add it, and then I'm going to immediately dump in the aforementioned panko breadcrumbs. Put that in there. The egg and the panko kind of act as a binder. There is about a cup of that chicken stock that I'm adding to the ground chicken. What is now the meatloaf mixture. There's the red bell peppers going in. Got the carrots. Now we're putting in the green onions. Got to give this a thorough mix. Make sure everything is combined. You don't want anything, look big clumps or anything like that. So make sure that is very thoroughly combined. Then we're just going to put it right into the loaf pan. This long loaf pan will hold a lot. I know some people who really like to take meatloaf and grill it after leftover meatloaf and put a nice crust on it and make a sandwich out of it. I just like to grill it and eat it like that, or put it in a saute pan. Want to get all that in there, make sure there's no air bubbles, kind of poke it around, smooth it out, make it purty. Then here we go. Time to go to the oven. Slide that in, put the rice next to it. Now, the recipe you're going to read says you should keep it in for 50 minutes, but here is the secret for having moist meatloaf, not the dry. We're not going to cook it by time. But while that's in the oven, what we're going to do now is we're going to start on the rest of the teriyaki and make a glaze out of it. So what I'm doing here is making a cornstarch slurry. That's with a little cornstarch mixed in with some water. You want to use cold liquid, cold water, and that's to help prevent it from clumping. So I've got the teriyaki in the pot at a vigorous simmer, low boil, and I'm going to add the cornstarch. Now, cornstarch, similar to a roux, does not show its full thickening power until it comes back up to a boil after you add it. So I'm making sure it's all thoroughly combined, mixed in well. Now I'm checking it. Look at there, nappe. That means it coats the back of a spoon and you can run your finger through it and make a line. So that is exactly where we want it. I'm going to turn that off and set it aside for later. Now, there's the secret. We don't cook by time, we cook by temperature. So the recipe you're going to see calls for you to baking this thing until it is 165 degree. Nay, nay, do not do that. That is the USDA serving temp that gives it a very safe temperature to eat that at. What you want to do is somewhere between 155 and 160, you're going to pull that out. So we'll look at that in just a second. Now I'm going to glaze it, and like I've done in the past, I'm just doing it with the oven door open. Don't do it like I do. Do as I say, not as I do. Now, let's check the temp on this thing. So what we're looking for is somewhere in the mid 150s. Look at that, we're hitting that. Now there will be different temperatures throughout the meatloaf because of the convection fan. So that is done though. I'm pulling that out. That's going to rest, and while it rests, I'm going to finish the rice, spin that around, close the door, and then it'll go up to 165, and it will not be dry. So now it's time to plate this thing. I had to be very careful. It is so moist, I didn't want it to fall apart trying to get it out of the pan. Put a little rice beside it there. And there you have it. Now I'm going to put a little teriyaki glaze over the top of it. This has some added sauce. And there it is. That is a gorgeous comfort meal for a cold winter night.
Well, all right, everybody, it's my favorite this time of day, so let's give this teriyaki chicken meatloaf a good try here. It is so moist, and it's unbelievable how moist this is. Never again, never, ever tolerate dry meatloaf. This is as moist as it gets. It's not only moist, it's so delicious. And that teriyaki sauce, wow, that's all I can say. Guys, pardon me. Listen, excuse me. You guys have got to try this thing. It is absolutely spectacular. And the way we taught you to cook it, it's going to just make every meatloaf you do from here on out the moistest ever. So, enjoy. And remember this, a day in the kitchen beats a day of working any day. We'll see you next time.